Beer o'clock on Reload Craft Beer. Today we've got a beer from Ringwood Brewery and it's a bottle of their Cascadian Everyday IPA coming in at 4.5% ABV. I've not had a Ringwood beer for a while, to be honest. A good few years, I would say. There's the bottle cap. Of course, they're part of Marston's Brewery. Nice bit of smoke on the opening. And they're based down in the Ringwood Forest. Down in Hampshire, I believe. Their most popular beer is Ringwood Old Thumper. And it just, even now, that beer, that name, it's just got a lovely ring to it. It's got a lovely feel to it. When I drank the beer, I think it was about 5.6% back in the day. Probably about 5-6 years ago now, maybe even 7 years ago. Really enjoyed it. Not sure what it's like now. It's probably the same beer, but yeah, that's their most popular beer. This beer, on the other hand, looks very good, and I've been talking and waving it round under my nose, and it smells quite good even from a distance. So we've got good levels of carbonation. Quite a clear, well, very clear beer. Golden in colour, light golden colour, no haze, good carbonation, 2-finger white head. Let's get the aroma. Brambles, nettles, a nettle spice to it. Touch of grapefruit, biscuity malt. It smells quite promising. Let's dive in. Cheers, everybody. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. Light, refreshing, good carbonation, easy drinking, biscuity bready malt mixed very quickly with that Cascade hop, that citrusy, piney, grapefruity Cascade hop. Nicely balanced beer. Do you know what? That is not bad at all. That is really not bad at all. It's quite a nice beer. I picked this up myself. I've been delving slowly back into the supermarket beer. Normally buy from bottle shops and online beer stores. Now the quality is generally a lot better, but certainly with Tesco's, they've upped their game. They've got a massive selection of beers now. Craft beers, real ales, regular ales, regular bitters. They've got a massive rate, almost an aisle now full of beer alone. And you know, from where I was back in the day, I remember seeing the small bottles of Witchwood Hobgoblin on the supermarket shelves at Tesco, and that was probably the only bottled beer that was really on the shelf. And I imagined, I remember seeing that beer and thinking, oh, that looks really good, but never got around to buying it until I was in my 20s, late 20s. Same brewery as Marston's. Marston's own Ringwood, Witchwood, Brack's Beer, the company up north, over at the Jennings Brewery, and they now own Theakston's. Is it? No, sorry, not Theakston's, sorry. Thwaites. They own Thwaites. And a few others. But yeah, so really I've delved back into the supermarket beer because they've upped their game. You can get some Stone beers, you can get Sierra Nevada now in Tesco. You can even get some, what was the canned company called? Oscar Blues. Wonderful, wonderful. So I thought to myself, pick up some British beer and give it a go. I think it was £1.79 for this bottle. For £1.79, it doesn't taste half bad. Nice Cascade citrusy punch to it. biscuit malt. I think Marston's have upped their game, to be honest. They've really got out with this. They've made a decent beer, and well done to them. Well done to the guys at Ringwood Brewery for producing such a good beer. I think I've accused Marston's in the past of using their own yeast in all of their beers and not changing the yeasts out when they produce IPAs. I think I've accused Marston's in the past of their beers tasting of like copper coins. If you drop a glass full of copper coins in a beer, leaving it overnight and tasting it, I've accused them of that. But you know, in all honesty, I was a little bit apprehensive picking this beer up, but I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did. Ringwood Brewery's Cascadian Everyday IPA. I'm going to rate it. And I'm going to rate it on the basis that I paid £1.79 for a beer that's very, very decent. Gone is that copper coin nastiness that's in some of their beers. Gone is that like farty water, the Burtonization. They don't need to do that with New World beers. Gone is, they've used a clean yeast as well, which is fantastic, a clean American yeast, and they've put some quite a good amount of hops into this beer. So I'm going to rate this beer, and for £1.79 I'm going to give it a bit of a stonking 8 out of 10. It's an 8 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. Please put your comments in the comments box, subscribe to our daily beer reviews, give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom! And cheers.